because it's madness. There is something wrong with the YouTube app. I'm about to throw the phone through the window. Not only has it been one of the worst days, the YouTube app is gone ballistic. It's updated recently, so let's just wait and see if we can please come back in patiently. Oh Lord, is anything going right today? If you can just share that out, Michelle.
Yeah, I'm trying. I've not got internet now. It's there, but
it's horrendous. So we're live. I'm just working on the title, so everybody, if you can just be patient, because I've actually tried to start this live stream 5 times in the last 10 minutes, and each time YouTube either just goes live without asking me, deletes the live stream, hides the live stream, or as you saw in the first one, went vertical when I clearly, but that might have been my fault. But let's just calm ourselves down. There's a lot to talk about, but let me just get and put the title. I didn't title this video because we panicked in the last 15 minutes to try and get one live stream to actually work. This one is just hit the live button and go and see how things roll. So it's not best planned. There's no scheduling, so nobody will probably come in and watch it. But anyway, we will you're watching a meltdown. I hate YouTube. I can't even begin. YouTube, to me, I hate it. I hate YouTube. Sorry, I do. I absolutely hate it. They updated the app. They've screwed everything up yet again. I was about to actually just got to update the title.
So who was in on the last one and come back in onto this one? We're getting a few in now.
So let me just save the title. I've uploaded the thumbnail so people can see the title of the video. There's about 15 videos that have gone live in the last 10 minutes. All of them have been accidentally live.
Sort of
Not
like,
even accidentally. No. There's something wrong with the app. YouTube has melted down. Laptop's away. We had the coffee. The first show, we had the coffee on the brew. Everything was organised. Nice little story. It's been an awful 24 hours, and it ain't any better. Yeah, it is.
It will get better. It is getting better, but YouTube's not helping us.
I'm a glass completely bloody empty sort of guy.
At the moment.
Oh, sorry. So we tried to make a video just to tell everybody what had happened and what's been happening over the last 24 hours. And we didn't like it. It was, we thought, well, what would be nice to go live?
Go live, that would be easy.
That would relax us. That would be so easy with no effort whatsoever.
Julie says, hope Michelle is okay. The day will get better. And Monica says, hello, you came back in, Monica. Thank you, Julie. It will get better.
So if you can just share that out on
I'm trying.
Face
something.
If any of you can help us on this, just take the pressure off a little bit, share it with some friends, put it on your Insta, on your WhatsApp groups and send it out, pop in. We've got a long story to tell. And
yes, just
calm down. Breathe. Calm down.
Oh. There we go. It's all going to be good. It's all going to be good.
It hasn't stopped raining for nearly 2 weeks, I'm going to say.
Yeah, and the wind blowing.
Yeah, I think you're about to see me have a melting down on a live stream. And I was completely calm until we hit the go button. There is nothing possibly awful could happen to the people that run YouTube that I wouldn't celebrate. Not the people that run it. I met some lovely people from YouTube. The people at the top, the morons that run this platform. It should be so easy.
It's fine. Coffee's on.
Coffee's on.
Coffee's on, and we're all good.
We're going to tell you the story of what happened over the last 24 hours. First of all, we're going to get ourselves a nice...
Let's get a coffee on.
Hot coffee. Michelle's going, no milk. I'm going to go and have a little bit of milk in mine.
And Julie said, YouTube made me create a channel just to comment to you. Ridiculous. I know. Isn't it just?
Who's that, Julie?
Julie.
Whoa, Julie.
Well, we're glad that they made you make one so that we could talk to you. How about
Yeah,
that?
that's good, Julie. Right, how are you all?
We're okay.
We're okay. Let's go through the story, Michelle. I think what we were trying to do on a video, and this sorry about this long-winded start. It should have been straight in. We've got a little bit of bread, a little bit of cheese. This really interesting cheese that Emily, a friend of ours in France, introduced us to. It's a goat's cheese, and it's anyway, things to talk about. It's a beautiful goat's cheese. We might have that in a moment. So we got to Bordeaux, and it's pretty much rained, stormed
Non-stop.
for as long as we can. I can't remember sunshine. So
We
it's
arrived
a
and
long
it wasn't
time.
wet, so that was a good thing. But that's about the only good thing, wasn't it?
Well,
So,
there's a difference. It was wet,
yes,
but it wasn't
raining.
It wasn't raining. When
Yes.
Michelle says it wasn't wet, it means it wasn't just constantly raining. It was still wet. Everything was wet. The floor was wet. So we arrived in Bordeaux. We really, I'm sorry, we've not liked. I haven't liked Bordeaux at all.
No.
I think it's a god awful city. But then I'll explain that in a moment and why. So we woke up. Let's start. We woke up yesterday morning. And we were getting ready to leave Bordeaux. We've decided there are storms coming in, the rain's getting heavier, strong winds.
Yeah.
And so Michelle and I thought, let's pack up, let's stop this journey now. We've got quite a lot of great videos to edit and to share with you, which are much more positive.
Yeah.
But we've had a little bit of a bad
24,
48 hours. So
Jan A says, well, wishes for you both, Jan.
yeah, you'll hear in a moment. We will get to the title of this video, and you might be quite surprised or shocked. So
it's wet and it's windy and it's cold. It's cold.
Yeah. So we've woken up. We're having our coffee, a little bit like this.
Yes.
We've been in this campsite for not where we are now. We've been in the campsite for about 4 or 5 days, 5 nights, 4 days. Next to us, and I was hoping to make a video so I could drop in some videos, but you just have to I'll explain to you. So next to us, there are 2 guys with chainsaws, 10 o'clock in the morning now. They're cutting up pallets with a chainsaw. And it's the worst campsite in the whole of France, the Bordeaux Camping du Lac in the Bordeaux. Feel free to look it up on Google and leave it a rubbish review. It is an absolute junk box.
The only campsite in Bordeaux.
The only campsite that will take tents. So there are 2, but only one takes tents. So there's these 2 lads. They're cutting up pallets with chainsaws, 2 of them. So when one's not cutting, the other one's cutting. They've got no gloves on. They've got no glasses, no ear defenders, nothing, no safety gear at all. And I just thought to myself, it's crazy. I've worked with chainsaws before, and they can kick back and be so dangerous. But this is kind of indicative of the way this campsite runs. Now, fortunately, we met a lovely couple, an English couple who are touring as well, that we kept bumping into. So let's get back to the good notes. John and Angela.
Yeah, lovely couple.
They've got a blogger, Muddy Marge, and they're travelling around. Lovely couple. So there were some positive things. The campsite itself was not very nice.
No.
It had dreadful pictures and pretty much everything about it we disliked.
I mean, they just didn't want tents, really, quite frankly.
I'm not even sure they wanted campers in general. It was certainly the worst campsite I can recall ever being on, and I was going to do a video as such. So the day started not so good, but then we went and saw John and Angela. That was lovely. So we had a light-hearted
was a good point. It wasn't actually raining when we packed up the tent.
For the first time.
For the first time, because I was dreading waking up and having to pack up the tent in the rain, but it was dry. The tent was dry.
But it was covered in bugs. I mean, most of the time we were there, and actually just putting this camera on now, this phone, there were still bugs on the phone. So there were these little bugs everywhere.
Just everywhere.
And I'm brushing them off the tent. And we've pretty much decided. I think Bordeaux's put the nail in this. I won't say it cemented what we wanted to do. We decided we've cycled far enough. We've enjoyed it. We've had a good time. I don't want to end on a low, but Bordeaux was where we as far down France as we were going to get with the weather that's coming in. There's some big storms which we're about to explain to you about. So we pack up.
Yep.
And we set off. We cycle out of the campsite. The campsite's nowhere really near Bordeaux, even though they call it Bordeaux. It's a good sort of 15, 20 kilometres. No, it's not. It's
10 kilometres.
It's 10 kilometres.
10 kilometres from the city.
200 kilometres from the Cheers, everybody. Good health.
Yes.
Michele is fine,
but
not 100% fine. Chin chin.
Chin chin is coffee in our black cup, so you can't see.
So, we go out to the camping site. There's a load of we go homeless. There's people sleeping under the good people. This is just indicative of the way modernity is. And the outside of Bordeaux has a very beautiful city centre, but pretty much the outskirts, all the way back, the 10 kilometres back, is just horrible. It's construction, rough roads, appalling modern buildings, ugly buildings.
And they've got a cycle track from the camp, all around Bordeaux, but it's rough. I mean, it goes all over the place, and it's rough, and it's not signposted. No,
it's badly signposted. So we're cycling to get the train now. I had all my speech ready, but this has thrown me a little bit. So we're cycling to get the train. We're going to start heading up country again towards a city called Nantes. And we've given ourselves 3 hours to have a little cycle through Bordeaux, and so it's plenty of time. Excuse me, is there any questions, Michele?
No, ask him a question. Relax him.
I'm still a bit shaky on the whole thing, to be honest. So we're cycling, and I used Google Maps, which I rarely do, and Google wants to take us a way that we didn't know. So we go past the homeless encampments, across this part of the city, and then it turned us right and took us off on a strange route that eventually just was route barred. Everything was barred every time, or we came to a motorway.
Yeah, we had to turn around.
Now Angela and John will wonder where on earth we went, and
we followed the signs.
We followed Google. We didn't go up to the Carrefour, which was
Bonjour, Benedict.
Bonjour, Benedict. Please forgive me for banging on about Bordeaux. I think it's a horrible city. I just think it's such a disappointment. Anyway, so we're cycling through to get to the Bordeaux station, and
we weren't rushing. We had plenty of time.
The cycle paths are all broken. They're all sort of cracked and split. Parts of them are missing. Then we get to a route that's just got like barbed wire fence across it, so we've got to turn around and come back. And I'll tell the story from my point of view, Michele.
Okay.
Firstly, we met a young German couple, and I was probably at this point ranting and getting a little bit irate with the whole Bordeaux thing. And they kind of underlined it a bit for me also, because they could see we were frustrated, so I was talking to them. And they said, we're having a bad time. We couldn't find a park, and everywhere we find a park has got signs up saying they'll smash into your vehicles and steal your stuff. So I felt for them, and we actually saw evidence.
We did.
There were cars that were parked in the city centre of Bordeaux, and there was smashed glass on the pathway. So they've obviously got problems with petty crime in the city. So we had a little chat with them, and then we're trying to get back off this dual carriageway back onto the cycle routes. And I'm cycling along, and I suddenly hear a bash behind me, and I think I know straight away Michele's fallen off the bike. I'd just gone between two posts, and they were a little bit, they were sort of uneven on, you know, the ground was all broken, and I flinched as I went through them. But then behind me, I heard this bash. I looked round, Michelle's falling down. I put the bike down quickly, rushed to Michelle. She's sort of sprawled on the floor, and I'm checking, I'm saying, is anything hurt? Anything hurt? She's looking a bit shaken, so I stand the bike up. We're on a fairly busy junction, there's quite a lot of vehicles around. I stand the bike up, pull Michelle, get Michelle to the side away from the centre of the pathway, and she sits down cross-legged on the floor. And I'm just checking her to see if anything's, you know, broken at all, and she's fine. But Michelle has this thing where if she goes into a shock, she will actually pass out quite easy. So let me explain what happened. We're there for a while, and I was really quite surprised because for a good, what felt like quite some time, not one person of all the vehicles and people, not one person came over and asked Michelle if she was okay. They could know. I'm sure at least maybe 10 or 15 gentlemen must have seen her fall up. No, nobody came over to see if she was okay. And this is kind of indicative, I think, of the way society is at the moment. It's this lack of compassion or caring, and I see it the same in Bordeaux itself. I said to Michelle, or I don't think I said to you, but I was saying to camera on the way in, that in France, historically, the people of France have built a beautiful country with lovely stone cottages and beautiful you know, shuttered blinds, everything's so very pretty. And yet this generation of French management, and not the people, because it's not the people, seem to be building the most ugly examples of architecture and buildings, just the most ugly, and don't seem to be capable. And we see this across throughout the world. And I think there's a lack of caring. I think people in the positions they're in, they don't really love or care for their country, and don't necessarily love or care for other people. So you get this feeling. Sorry, I'm getting a little political. I won't go on about this too much. So I'm sat with Michelle, and she's starting to steady. So I say, let me get you up. And excuse me a minute.
There's some comments. Do you want me to do some comments?
Yeah, you can do some comments.
So Benedict says, my husband agrees with you about Bordeaux. Obviously, he doesn't like it. Sally H says, hi. Hi, Steve and Michelle.
Hi, Sally.
Larry says, hello to you both. Passed out twice while riding motorbike 8 months ago. It was a terrible feeling, confused, etc. First time in my life it happened to me due to heat stroke.
Right.
And Janice says, big hugs to you both. And Gloria says, my gosh, what is wrong with people these days? And Sally says, hope you're feeling okay, Michelle. I am feeling okay now.
She's feeling okay. She's a little bit, we'll explain in a minute. Sorry, I'll carry on my story. So I then said to Michelle, let's get you up and check that everything's stable. So I helped Michelle stand up. And then I've seen this many times before in the past. She went cold. Every part of her skin went cold, and I knew she was about to pass out. Her eyes rolled, her face went pale, and she just collapsed under. So she just, like a rag doll, just collapsed. And I'm holding her. She didn't fall out. I'm holding her. So she collapses down. And at this point, two ladies did come, who were passing by, did come and ask, how is she? You know, is she okay? One lady particularly wanted to help, and I said, look, please, it's thank you very much. It's normal. I was trying to explain, this happens with Michelle. She hasn't broken anything. She hasn't cut anything. This is not abnormal. And we won't go into some of you who know this to pass out at the sight of blood will know what we're talking about, and I can't explain it all, but it's not unusual. So she's passed out, and I'm holding her, and there's this lady asking, is she okay? Then another lady comes, and I'm trying to wake Michelle up, and she eventually wakes up and Can I say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you had slapped me down by this stage.
She's on the floor. She then is sick because what happens is the body, all the blood rushes away from the body to protect the brain and organs and things, the vital organs. So you get this cold clamminess. She then passes out. This whole effect causes you to be sick. She's sick, so that can then sick in itself can make Michele pass out. But and suddenly with that she comes alive and she says, "Oh, right, I'm fine now. Let's go." And all the couple of ladies there are looking, sort of standing back and looking
perplexed.
And I said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Let's check," because you landed quite.
Yeah. So what happened?
Okay, you explain. Go back to.
I was following Stephen behind. I usually following him. And when you're riding behind somebody on a bike, you can't really see a lot of what's in front. And the road was so rough, you're keeping an eye on the road, so you're missing the potholes and everything that's going on. And what happened, I think we crossed this road, and I glanced to my left, and as I glanced back, I suddenly saw the post, which I hadn't seen because it was two small posts, but quite close together. But you were sort of blocking. I probably was a little bit too close to riding. Anyway, saw this post, went to avoid it, and I think what happened, because the bike was wide, the front pannier hit the post, and I went flying, and I landed sort of on this arm and with this wrist. She's got just a little graze there,
cut on her wrist,
on my hip, and this wrist jarred as well because it went that way. But when I sort of fell over, got up, felt everything was all okay but sore, but then I could feel myself, okay, I don't feel right. So that's when I sat down cross-legged initially, and then we stood up, and then I fell down.
And then you wouldn't remember because you pass out. Now, I think one of the ladies said you want to call an ambulance, and now at this point, we don't think we need that sort of service because we've been through this before, so we don't really need an ambulance. And plus, we're about an hour and a half in now to a 40-minute journey, and we are getting closer to missing our train.
I said the first thing I said, "What's the time?" So we walked a little way, didn't we?
So you landed quite heavily on your side, and I think you say you were quite bruised. You felt quite tender.
This is great. The wrists are quite sore, and I think the bruise will come out on my hip and things.
So I'm feeling. Oh, by the way, so Michele's mirror came off, and while she was sat on the floor, I went to pick the mirror up, and it was smashed. And I thought, oh dear, you always think broken mirrors. Oh no. So what I was going to do is swap her mirror for my mirror, so when she got back on the bike, she wouldn't see the broken mirror, and that would make things better. But I couldn't get them switched off, so I popped Michele's mirror into my bag. At this point, anyway, we're back on our feet. She's brushed off, and we start to cycle because we've got to get into Bordeaux. And it's still rough. I mean, the roads are still rough all the way to the station, and I'm very conscious now for some reason, much more conscious. Even though Michele has done like thousands of kilometers on the bike and always been steady as a rock, I'm very conscious. We start to head towards the station. We arrive there in good time, not a massive amount of time, but we've got plenty of time.
But other cyclists and scooterists and pedestrians, nobody rings their bell, nobody shouts. They all just suddenly you look round and there's somebody right beside you on the narrow cycle path, and you've not heard them come in, and they're just sort of whizzing by you, whizzing in, and everybody was sort of getting in the way, weren't they?
There was a good sign up in Scotland, I think it was. It might be in the north of England, and it was on a particular route, and it said cyclists, pedestrians, and dog walkers cannot hear you coming. Make yourself heard. And it was really well written all along this sign. And it's true, cyclists tend to just overtake people without saying, "Excuse me, coming through," or ringing. You even see the bells as they virtually. So that's, please, if you do cycle, always make a noise when you pass other cyclists or pedestrians. It is such an important thing to do. The amount of times, and this happens even later in today's story. So We get to the train station and we know we're going to get a train to Nantes, and it's a massive station. At this point, we're both feeling quite tired from the exhaustion of what's just happened, and we are told we go to the customer service. There's a group of ladies in a building, sort of very plush looking building, all sat, and this goes back to what I say about just the sheer quality of care. There's these ladies, they're all dressed in their little uniforms, and I asked them, you know, where's the train, which platform? In broken French, I'm asking which platform for the train to Nantes, and they say, just go downstairs, just go downstairs. And I said, yeah, but if it's on platform 1, we have to be upstairs because it's the platform right next to us. So I said, you go and ask Michele. So you went through and asked and got told much the same?
Pretty much the same.
And then eventually you asked...
I went out onto the station and I saw there was somebody in uniform. She was talking to some other people and then finished talking to them and went to go away. So I sort of stopped her and got my phone out and said, you know, where do we go for this train? Because we wanted to sort of get the bikes, get ourselves organised onto the platform, plenty of time.
We're heavy, you know, we've got all the bags, so we want to be on the platform.
And she just said, 20 minutes before it'll be on watch the board, watch the blue board. And then she walked away.
So they only let you know 20 minutes. It's a big station, by the way. This is one of those platforms. 14 platforms and very long platforms. With just 20 minutes before they will let you know. So I'm thinking, okay, so wait, and 20 minutes comes, and 19 minutes, and 18 minutes, and 17 minutes, and eventually about 17 minutes to go, it says we're on platform 7. So now we've got to get downstairs because we're not on the main boulevard, and there's just one lift, and we can only get one bike in at a time. So we go down, and there's a sign saying 7 this way. So it's like 7 this way. We go, and then there's this like long underpass. So you're going past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and beside each station, sorry, I'll try and clarify this. There's a set of concrete staircase and a slope running up to so that you can push the bike up. At number 5, that's true. At number 6, that's true. At number 7, there's no slope, so just 2 sets of
Stairs.
So now we're saying, okay, I'm panicked. We're turning into the crowd now. So we turn around, we're trying to push the bikes back. Everybody's coming towards us. Go back up the lift, go to see these ladies again. And they're so rude. They were just so obnoxious. They just didn't want to know. And I said, look, we haven't got much time. We've got to get to platform 7. We can't find the way in. And she just kept saying, go downstairs, go downstairs. So I'm panicking by now. We go back down one at a time. And I'm starting to get quite vocal. I'm starting to shout a little bit because I'm saying, where the bloody hell are the staff in these places and the assistants to get you? And a young lad, you can...
Yeah, so I sort of seen that there was a maybe sort of disabled access that way, but it didn't say platform 7, but we said, well, we'll go that way. And so you're quite vocal, and this young lad said, are you looking for the elevator? You know, what are you wanting? He was asking us in his broken English and our broken French, and he said, if you go down there you can get the elevator. We said, we'll get into platform 7. He said, yes, you definitely will get to it. It actually wasn't an elevator.
So he was just sat on the floor, cross-legged, earbuds in, lovely guy, young lad. He said, yes, go that way. So we went down. There was no sign for 7, but it kind of said 14 or something, and so we thought, well, we've got to go down. So we're going down again. This was quite a long sort of concrete underpass. Turned left, past 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And when we get to 7, there's a slope going to the south side, because we call that the north side, the previous one. Now we're on the south side. There's a slope going up to 7, so we're great. We go up. We come out, and you thought there's plenty of time because the train hasn't even arrived.
Yeah, I could see it. I said, that's platform 6, that's platform 7. So I said, we've got to be on platform 7. I said, it's all right, there's no train.
No trains there. We look back, and it must be a 50 carriage long platform. And platform, and in the distance is a little short 6 carriage train.
Our train.
So I said to Michele, get on your bikes, we're riding down I know you're not allowed to, I know we're breaking all the rules because there's, the train tracks and things, but we've got to get down there, and then the time's running out. So we're cycling down the platform. Of course, when we get to the train, there's this young girl, she's not happy that we're cycling, and we get to the what we think's the end carriage, number 6. We're in carriage 6, and we get on, and there's 2 bicycles in this rather useless little bicycle spot. So we have to come back a door and just stand the bicycles in the hallway. There was plenty of room around them. People could get round. There was no big issue. And we sat down, and the train. Oh no! At first, it started to close on you, didn't it?
Yeah. So we moved down to the back of the end of this carriage. We went to the front of the carriage, and then we decided to go to the next one. You went in, and as I went in, the door started to close. So I was saying, "They're closing on me."
So it's bouncing off of us, yeah.
Bouncing off the bike, but they opened.
So that's how close we were. We cut it. It was like we were seconds before missing our train, and this was all because the Bordeaux train station, firstly, has no customer service, and where they do have customer service, in a comfortable little thing at the end of the platform, where these women, these little horrible staff members, are not interested. They're just paying lip service. They don't care about. They don't love the passengers. They don't care about the passengers. They do not care. They're just getting no interest at all in your well-being or what. Anyone could have walked out with us. Just the door. It was only about 20 feet. Pointed to over the thing and said, "Go through that one there." Any one of them could have done it. So we sat down, and this. I know we're in France, but this little Fraulein comes up to me. She comes up, the little ticket lady, and she starts complaining that we've put the bikes in the wrong spot. And then she looks at our tickets and says, "We've got to be on the other end of the train."
So the carriages weren't numbered. They should have been numbered.
No numbers.
So we think we're in 6, and apparently we're in.
And we're on the right number seats. Each carriage has the same number seats, 1 to 50 in each carriage. So whatever your seat number repeats in every carriage. So we eventually agree that we'll get off at the next station and we'll run to the back and get on and put our bikes on. And she's happy with that. She's happy. Okay. So she puts on a little hat, struts off, and we're fine. So we then reset the bikes up at the door so that we can get out. And of course, at the next station, Bordeaux was flat with the platforms. At the next station, there's a big step. So we got to take the bikes out. It stops. We got to rush 6 carriages down, and she just looks. She looks at us like, "Well done. Do as you're told.
Make it again."
Oh, thank you very much. So we get in, and there's an area called. Oh yeah. Underwater. How long has that been going on?
Okay. So let me take that out and see whether this makes a difference.
Does that make the sound better if I take my phone out?
Listen. Aliens speak low.
How long has that been going on?
I don't understand you so choppy. Just take it out now, so let's see whether.
Pause. We'll see. Let me just check this may disconnect briefly. It seems to be YouTube. Okay, we'll wait a moment. Just see if it.
See if it all comes back.
Was it good before?
I suppose I can look, can I?
Go back to point.
There you go.
Is that better?
There we
Okay.
are. Just
Can you tell me roughly at what point, where I got to in the story?
everyone's saying it's working now. Oh, let's turn me off.
So, where had I got to in the story where you could hear? If you could just remind me, please.
Which bit did you hear about?
Had we got onto the? Have we changed the carriage? Have we got to the back carriage yet?
After you got off the switch car, thank you, John.
Thank you.
After you got told off to get off the train.
All right. So hopefully the sound's back on. I got this bread here. I'm quite hungry. So now we're racing through the countryside, and the rain is starting to come down. Do you remember the carriage was the windows in the carriage has started to, you know, when you're going fast in a train, the water's running parallel, so it's like running down the thing. I thought, oh, hopefully it's not like this when we get to Nantes. Well,
but the sound went bad after we hadn't got back onto the train. So we switched carriages. That's where the sound went bad. So they might not have heard the story of where we had to remove the bikes again into the luggage rack.
Oh, okay, yeah. Quick, briefly, she did come out and tell us off and told us we've got to, and she's pulling out all the bags. Because I pointed to her and I said, they can't go there. They're full of suitcases. So she starts yanking. Her hat fell off. She's pulling all the bags out. She's quite frustrated. The bikes were in a perfectly good place, but anyway, she needed them. Regulation, they had to be where they were. And I thought, well, if regulation, they have to be where they are, then make sure people don't fill up the bike section, because we've paid to put the bikes on. So now the rain is starting to come down, and we are looking out the window, looking increasingly concerned. The rain's getting heavier. So 6 hours or
4 hours?
4.5 hours.
4.5 hours.
Yeah, almost 5 hours. Yeah. Almost 5 hours later, we arrive. Is there any other parts of the stories I missed?
No, I think you.
So now we've arrived in the beautiful city of Nantes.
The final destination for the train.
Yes.
So that was handy.
So it was handy. So we got off, and we looked. It was hammering. I mean, it was literally hammering down. We're on the middle platform of about 10 platforms. We've gone down to what's pointed towards a lift, elevator, a lift. And as we got there, there's a big chunk of paper, an A4 piece of paper, saying no velos, no bikes. And I thought, well, there's nowhere else to get off.
We're on island.
Some young lad just pushed in a purple towel, just pushed in front of us with an old dear in a wheelchair.
Which you said fine. You said,
I said, oh yeah,
"Please
excuse
go
me, sorry,
please
pardon
go
me,
first."
pardon me. Pushed the, already some lady had gone up with us with a handbag in because she couldn't carry that up the escalator. And I moved out of the way, he got in, and as he got in, another guy came along in a tabard and just walked straight in front of us and waited for the lift to go up 2 stories and come back down 2 stories. He went in, and then eventually, after 2 or 3 ups and downs, this elevator came, and I went to push the bike in, and it was only about 3 foot long. The elevator is just long enough for a wheelchair and a bloke in a purple tabard.
Yeah.
So
No way
we couldn't get into them. And I said to Michele, well, that can't be right. There must be, I know we've got bikes, there must be a way to get off. So we started looking around. There's no way off. We're in the middle of the station. There's no way.
Stairs everywhere.
Stairs everywhere. And there is just one double-story escalator going up saying no pushchairs, no bikes.
I didn't say no bikes, no pushchairs, no.
But it was indicating.
It was indicating that it was, yeah.
Stay off of here.
Yeah.
So we're thinking, how do we get off? It's peeing it down with rain. So what we did is, Michele and I went up one at a time. I put my bike on the escalator. Michele stood behind me just to make sure it didn't roll down the escalator. We went up the escalator on the bikes, got to the top. There was a lovely young girl sat on a bench at the top, and I said, would you please watch my bike? We've got to run down now.
The stairs.
2 flights of stairs, 2 stories, to get Michele's bike and do the same journey up. We now got the 2 bikes up. The girls kindly watched the bike, which was sweet of us. So now we're pushing the bikes. We're up on an elevated platform.
No idea how we're going to get down.
The street is quite a way down. I'm walking through. There's 2 or 3 staff members just stood, arms folded in the middle, doing nothing. And I thought, I'm not going to even ask them. They don't look like they want to serve or anything. So there's 2 more elevators for wheelchairs. One of them's a big wide one, like a service elevator, and one's another small one. And paper stuck on the thing saying no bikes. And I thought, well, I'm not even paying attention. We've got to get out of this place. So we pressed the elevator, waited a long time.
It seemed to stop at 16 floors.
It's only a 2-story, but it seemed to have an underground, overground. Eventually it opened and we could get both bikes in.
Yeah, it was big enough to get 2 bikes in.
There's no reason for it not to let bikes in. So we went in, didn't get told off, came down to the ground floor, and we stood, and the rain, you know when rain is coming down and you know it's not going to clear? Because Michele said, should we wait and see if it clears? I said, this is not going to clear. This is solid. It's getting dark. The rain is just coming down in strings. So we put our wet weather jackets on and push out into the streets. And now we've got to cycle 6 kilometers to the campsite. We haven't booked a campsite. We're just looking. And as I'm cycling along, I almost got hit by a bus.
Yeah.
That
we were
decided
in the correct lane.
We were in a bicycle lane, but the bus also wanted to be in the bicycle lane. So, and it was wet and dark, getting dark. So we're cycling along. We are getting wetter and wetter. Eventually, and I'm filming this, so I have got some video. Eventually, maybe in a month's time, I might put a video up showing you some of these events. I couldn't have got more wet. I mean, if you dropped the bikes in a swimming pool and just pulled them up, I think we would have been no wetter if we'd have gone. We were absolutely soaked. And again, we had the same problem. There were other cyclists kept cutting alongside us. We couldn't see them. It was getting dark. And so we kept having to make strange crossing over double streets. And we got any stories, anything you want to share on that?
No, it was I was just staying pretty close. I mean, I'm right behind you. When you're riding in the city, I want to be pretty close to you, because if we're crossing roads, tend to like to go together so that we don't get separated in that respect.
And I'm keeping an eye on Michele because I've got a mirror.
Yeah, I haven't, so I can't see the people coming up behind me who aren't ringing their bells.
A mirror. No. You've got no mirror.
Hey Damon, how are you? Enjoy your show, Tewkesbury. So
now we're getting closer and closer. We are I couldn't be more wet.
Yeah.
Everything, the helmet was dripping, coat was dripping. My trousers, these not these ones, but the other pair that I travel with were almost translucent in water.
And my shoes, well, my
and our shoes, luckily we don't wear socks ever, so it didn't matter. But I could feel them squidging. It was like water was inside.
Yeah.
So we're drenched. We arrive at the only campsite in the city. There are some outside the city, but we want the one in the city. So we arrive at the campsite. And it's a lovely campsite. It's got like a covered over area, so we put the bikes under the covered over. Small, I mean, it sounds
sounds luxurious, doesn't it?
And we walk in, and things continue. Don't worry, they haven't got stopped getting bad yet. So we walk into the campsite, and I'm dripping, dripping off, and there's these lovely girls in the front there, and we said, "Oh, look, we've just arrived. We need a." And I'm thinking the whole ride.
That was the same. How am I going to put my tent up in this rain? It's just going to be so wet. I'm thinking, well, maybe they'll have a room for campers that we can sort of dry off and think about how we're going to do. Because the Bordeaux one did not even have a space for us to sit in, did it? It was so bad.
You've just reminded me about Bordeaux again.
Anyway, we're in Nantes in the camping site.
So I go to the girl. I said, She said, "Have you got a reservation?" Campsite is a campsite. You don't need a reservation in it. We've never needed a reservation in a campsite, but
it's late in the season. You don't need a reservation.
Very late. So no, we haven't. So she goes to the machine and she says, and she looks at me. I don't know if you've ever been to a hospital. You're being delivered really bad news by a nurse or a doctor. They don't want to tell you. So she looks at me and she sort of, this is just the price. She says, I'll tell you in Australian dollars because it sounds more dramatic. So she says, the pitch is $80.
I have one left.
80 something, I think $86. Yeah. It says 40 odd euros. Oh, I've got one left, she said. And she sort of went, I said, oh, how much is it? She said 43 euros or something. And I said, how much? For a piece of grass.
I only want a flat bit of land.
How is that possible? I said, that's 4 times the price of most campsites. It's even more than double the price of horrible Bordeaux. And she sort of looked very sort of solemn, and she could see we were like unhappy. No, it wasn't. Clearly, I didn't want to pay that sort of money for and we're going to have to put it up in a storm.
Yeah.
And this rain, by the way, did not stop. It did not stop all through the night, all through the morning. It has continued to fall. So, and not even a break. So
John's off to work now. Have a good day at work.
So there's a girl, one of the other girls, maybe one of the managers listening in. She comes over. They have a little talk, and she said, "I have got an option for you." She said, "We've got a cabin." And I said, how much cabins? They are about $100, so call it 50 something euros, so only a little bit more. Well, we could have chewed her arm off. I mean, it was I don't want to be in a cabin. I'd much rather be out in the road. So she said, we've got a cabin, and I said, okay, we'll have the cabin, thank you.
Without even seeing it, we didn't even know what these cabins
normally were. I'd go and have a look. I said, can we get it for 3 nights? I said, we really need to relax and so initially said it's only available for 2, then they had another talk and it was available for 3. So we paid for 3 nights, and this is the cabin. And I tell you what, when we got here, it was like the 2 of us were just exhausted. We just melted. It was like so nice. It's got a kitchen, our own toilet and bathroom.
It's got heaters.
It's got a heater. It's got beds. We couldn't have been happier.
No.
Now I will say, going just to put a dampener on it, Michele was bruised and sore, so she deserves this cabin. So yeah, we've got.
We're going for a walk.
Yeah, we've got. It's a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
We've got a kitchen. We've got a bed back there. And as I've been talking to you, the sun's come out. Look at that. That is sun out there. I don't know if you can see there. It's cut. Now, that bit of mud at the front of our is so sodden. Let me tell you. It is. Just move that out of the way before we end up with another YouTube error.
There we go.
that piece of muddy ground which they're seeding out there is so solid. If I step off the balcony, which I did this morning, if I step off the balcony, I'm up to beyond my ankles, above my ankles in mud. I stepped off. Can we see it? Let's just turn that.
Luckily, this little cabin has a bucket.
So you see, just at the end of the wood there, there's a. You can see my footprints. They've filled with water now.
Yeah, that's how wet it's been.
So I stepped off and I went, and I just sort of looked around at Michele. We laugh. We're not bothered by stuff like that.
No.
I said, so Michele got a bucket. And I'm trying
bucket loads later.
I'm trying to wash what all the
everything's
we're dry.
Yeah.
And we have
and we're okay.
We're okay.
Yeah.
We're not going to continue this cycling journey. The weather has just I mean, to be frank, the weather hasn't been good this whole summer.
No.
And I think some of you might appreciate that. It's been pretty poor weather. We're not going to continue the cycle. We've got a little bit more cycling to do. And we are going to...
You've got a few more videos to of the cycling.
Yeah, we have got a few more episodes. I'm probably a couple of weeks behind at the moment. And I will try to... So what we've discovered is it's really, really hard to edit videos and cycle and continue to create content while we're doing this. So we've had a good time. We've enjoyed France. We've enjoyed cycling. The weather has been, against us most of the time. But it's probably time to do something new, a new adventure. Mm. So let me get this series edited for you. I'll do a couple here while we're at this in our cabin.
In our
log cabin.
It's cold outside today.
It's bitterly cold. Yeah. It's still technically summer. What is the date? So
September.
Middle of September, surely.
27th.
Oh, it's 27th of September.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's autumn. It's autumn. Pardon me. It's a week into autumn, but it feels like winter. And
Gloria says, "I love your gratitude for what little comforts you get." You get so excited.
Oh, it's like. Oh Lord! And I felt. I know you didn't feel good.
No.
But I felt like
I was tired.
Really
I was mentally tired.
Upset that you'd hurt yourself, and that made me feel very emotional. And it made us also think it's the right thing. This weather is you can't enjoy cycling in this sort of weather. It's just become an endless challenge. I think Bordeaux as a campsite was a good thing in a way that it was so appalling. And that look.
If anything was better after that.
Yeah, because it also made us contemplate if these things could stay this way.
Yeah.
And there are some big storms coming in. On the coasts, high winds. We also probably could say now. I mean, we also had in the same campsite stuff falling out the trees all the time. And actually ripped through our tent. So we had a hole in the tent, which I had to repair. I mean, everything that could go wrong went wrong in this last week. So it's been a bit of a tough week.
Yeah.
But all the signs are saying time for you to change your adventure, time for you to do something different. So that's what we
pondered for a good few days as to what we were doing, and it was hard to make a decision to actually say, okay, we are going to stop doing this, and that was a bit of an issue, wasn't it?
Well, we were going to keep cycling. We'd absolutely committed to continue to cycle south, but nowhere was the weather good. All the way down to Spain were having bad weather, Italy were having bad weather. Yeah. So even if we were heading to some of these countries where technically the weather could be better, there was at least a week of poor weather. What is that little message that's come up?
I don't know.
We'll find the battery will run out next. Just to add insult to injury.
Yeah.
No, we're okay. So yeah, we were probably week or two of awful weather to get anywhere, and even then potentially the weather wasn't going to be that
And
good.
it was getting cold. I mean,
But every day was cold.
Every night was
bitterly cold. And we've done the joggle, we walked Land's End to John Groats, 3 months camping in the wet and rain. We've done it before,
and we don't have to do it.
No.
So we thought, why are we doing it?
we one thing, we've got very fit. We can cycle.
Yeah, I'm amazed at how much I can cycle. I can do the hills that I couldn't do when we started. So,
but there's some good videos to come. This is just a little bit of an update. Hopefully, it's put some people at rest. If anybody was worried, I was worried. So yes, and that thumbnail, the picture there, that is actually Michele collapsing in my arms. She dropped like a rag doll. It was quite shocking. Wow, I expected it, to be honest.
Yeah, used to
so it wasn't shocking,
Mm-hmm.
but it was unpleasant. So the whole day ended well. We at the end of the day, we got our little cabin. It's warm, it's dry. We got a soft bed. We're not on the floor.
Not on the floor.
On our what Michele calls our lilos,
which we might have needed the amount of rain we've had.
Yeah, lilos.
It's like a lilo, isn't it? When you have in the pool,
Well, in this weather, they might have been lilos.
You might have needed it to get out of.
I couldn't believe there's no sort of there's some you might have spotted some tape. I told them to put some tape up to but if you just sort of like leisurely stroll out in the morning in your dressing gown and step out onto the lawn, I just went, I was anyway.
I saw it and I just
funny.
It was, because it wasn't me.
I had like bare feet, I had that brown bare feet.
Luckily it was you in your flip-flops, a bit easier to clean.
They were easy. It just took me a while to get my feet clean and everything. And apparently this is a 5-star, and the reason it's so expensive, it's a 5-star campsite. I can't see any reason why it's a 5-star campsite, to be honest. It's nice, but it just looks like a normal campsite. But $80 for $85, I think it is, for a piece of grass.
A piece of grass.
And so it's a no-brainer. $100 Australian for a cabin. It was a no-brainer for us.
So Angeli says, hi, so sorry to know, but good that you're both safe. You deserve good rest, and Michele needs pampering. Take care. Thank you, Angeli.
She does, Angeli. She does.
I have been pampered. I've had my bed and a shower and heating.
Yes, and I've pampered her.
Yes, we've got a coffee machine.
We've got coffee machines. We've got some lovely. I've got some charcuterie, a little bit of sausage here. You
even had a little delivery from you had some stuff delivered from the supermarket.
because the rain last night, the rain was. We didn't have a lot of food. That was another story. When we got in, I think we had a box of biscuits, and I looked.
That's about it.
So one last story, unless there's anything else you can think of. So I'm looking, I thought, I wonder if I can get a Deliveroo or an Uber Eats where they work here. So I'm looking, it's hammering it down. It's pitch black out there and just raining. So I make up an order online.
Thinking it's never going to come.
It won't come. But anyway, I hit it and it accepts the order. So now we've got some food coming. It's coming. I mean, there's a guy, and I felt sorry because we're right at the end. If the campsite is elongated like this and the gate's over here, we're right at the back end of the campsite. It's quite a long campsite. So I thought, I don't know if he can come in chalet number. I put the chalet number up and I thought there's no way. So now I've just dried off. I've put a fresh shirt on and I said to Michele, I can't. Two things are going to happen. He's either going to struggle to get here or he's going to give up and just take our stuff away. So I jumped back on the bike and I rode, about to put my wet coat on and ride back through the campsite in the pitch black rain. And I got to the front and there's this lad, he's an African, someone from Africa, and he sat there and it's peeing down the rain and we both laugh. And I said, you got my order? And he spoke English straight away, so it was kind of cool. So you got my order? Yeah. So I said, come over here, get out of the rain. So we get out under the shelter and exchange sort of like things. He's dripping, I'm dripping. and then I cycled back. Luckily, it was in a waterproof, like a plastic bag, a waterproof bag. It was in a plastic bag, and I cycled back, and I was wet all again, but we had enough food to see us through to the morning, so that was good.
It's cool.
Yeah.
So ended on a high.
Ended on a high.
Yeah.
All right.
We're going to end on a high, which we did this on a low because YouTube was not playing ball, but it's behaving itself at the moment.
Was that Damon in just now? Damon, there's something wrong with the YouTube app. I was trying to do. Damon's a friend of ours, another who
he's off to see his show, so it's not stopping.
Oh, all right. So we tried to start this YouTube nearly 5 times. I'm going to say.
I'm surprised anybody was in, but anyway, you stayed with us.
Loved you all. Big thank you to those that have supported us on the journey. Thank you to Mona for sending us the PayPal the other day.
Thank you, Mona.
That'll help towards our cabin.
Our luxury cabin on our 5-star campsite.
And yeah, we've still got a bit of cycling to do. We're not home yet. No. Well, we're not home.
No,
we're not home.
We're not finished yet.
But we're gonna go back and visit some friends, and then we are going to. We got some new things. We got some other things planned. All right. Loved you all. Take care. Michelle's good. She's a little bit soft and bruised on this side, but it all turned out good in the end. Loved you all. Be good, and we will see you. I put up a video. I'm working on one for this Sunday, so you will see us on Sunday.
You've got to get up and turn it off.
Yeah. Take care.
See you. Bye.
Ciao. Arrivederci.